Yeah.
Okay, good evening, dear women. Let's start with בעזרת השם שיגיע משיח צדקנו במהרה בימינו, אמן. שיגיע מבשר אליהו הנביא, אליהו תשבי אליהו גלידי במהרה יבוא למשיח בן דוד, אליהו הנביא זכור לטוב. We're going to start with the laws of Tisha B'Av, and once we finish the laws, we're going to go to the 10th Tanaim that were killed after the ruining of the second temple by the Romans. And we're going through all the stories. I would like to start first with the laws of the 9 days before Tisha B'Av. And we'll start with the first thing. It is a custom not to say Shehecheyanu during the 9 days. Truly it should be from the 17th of Tammuz until the 9th. From the 17th, Yud Zayin Tammuz. You remember the 21 days till Tisha B'Av. And this is 21 days. But now that we are already in the 9 days, because on Monday it was Rosh Chodesh Av, we do not say Shehecheyanu, which means we do not buy new shoes, new clothes. This is part of the laws. We do not do that. In order not to say Shehecheyanu when we dress them up.
We do not buy or we do not...
You do not buy. Don't buy. It's not good to buy now new clothes. Because this is the time of mourning in these 3 weeks. Only if you're going to be a bride and you have to, and you know that after Tisha B'Av the price is going to go up and you lose money, then you can do that. But if it's not a loss of money, do not buy it. And bracha, there's no blessing in it. Because those are the 3 weeks of the ruining of the temple. And
somebody told me you can buy, but you cannot wear. Because you cannot say the use for good health. That's why.
If it's on sale and you know that after Tisha B'Av it won't be on sale, then you buy because God doesn't want you to lose money over it. But if it's not that, don't buy now. This is a time of mourning, okay? מתאבלים על חורבן בית המקדש. This is a time of mourning. The 21 days between the 17th of Tammuz to the 9th of Tammuz, of the month of Tammuz, I already told you, those are 21 days of mourning, which means we shouldn't be happy for new things, or, the delight that we have in our heart when we buy a new thing, when it's you should not have it. You should remember the Yerushalayim, you should remember the temple in Jerusalem, and that's what you should concentrate on those 3 weeks. Why? Because we want Mashiach now. If we won't remember Jerusalem, God will tell us, okay, if you do not remember, you don't have any urge to see the building of the third temple now, I can wait with you. Meanwhile, I'll take the Goyim, all of the nations, to knock on your door. So, dear women, we need to mourn in these 3 weeks. Now we are already in the 9 days of Av. And I will remind you again that this month, Av, and also the passing month, which was Tammuz, I told you that those months are judgment months, and they are very hard, not only to the Jewish nation, but to all of the nations all over the world. Because it's time of judgment. So we should be careful, we should remember, we shouldn't have any fight with anyone. Even if someone is angry with us, try to be calm, don't react back. Okay? It's a bigger midah, it's a bigger characteristic to close your mouth and not say anything. Then you're a bigger human being. I would like to continue and in these days, it is a custom not to have the hair cut during these days, neither the hair of the head, nor the beard, nor any part of the body. We do not cut our hair in these days. Shh.
What about the woman's or the eyebrow?
If you are going to the mikveh, you can do that. But it says that it's a custom, especially now in the 9 days, not to cut any hair from your body. Okay? And it says also that adults, we are looking through Mishnah Berurah and Shulchan Aruch, Mekutzar. I would like to tell you, it says it's also forbidden to give your children a haircut. Okay? Let's continue. Now, cutting the nails. Dear women, to cut your nails, and concentrate with me. To cut your nails. It says it is forbidden only during the week of Tisha B'Av, which means next week that Tisha B'Av is on it. On Tuesday, it's Tisha B'Av. The evening of Tisha B'Av was Monday. We start the fast at 8:23 p.m. and Monday, and we finish the fast on Tuesday on 8 54 p.m.
9:15. 9:15. I'm sorry.
9:15?
Yes.
I don't know, I saw it in the Chabad calendar, you sure?
But I know.
Okay, look, check it up, it's around 9. Anyway, it's around 9.
Yeah, anyway, it's not.
Yes, anyway, it's around 9.
8:45,
8:45, it's also around 9. So
Right.
check it with your rabbis. I have a Chabad calendar, it was written 8:45. But
Yeah.
maybe there's a mistake, I don't know.
What about before Shabbat? Can you cut your nails? And
Yes, this week you can cut your nails. You can cut your nails, but before Shabbat you can cut, but after Shabbat you cannot cut because it's already the week of Tisha B'Av. Okay, so we do not cut. יום שישי אפשר לכבוד שבת, אבל עד מוצאי שבת זהו. ממוצאי שבת אי אפשר, משבת והלאה until the 10th of Av, which means until Wednesday afternoon, you do not cut your nails. And I'll explain in a few minutes why until Wednesday afternoon, why until the end of the 10th of Av. Okay, let's continue.
Hair and everything after Wednesday.
Okay, exactly. אחרי ירידת החושך, אחרי לקראת ערבית של 10 באב. Okay, another thing I would like to tell you, in those in these 3 weeks, you will see that every haftarah on Shabbat, when you go to the shul, is the haftarah that we read about the ruining of the temple. And there the Navi, the prophet, tells us that we did not behave well and God is going to punish us. So you will see that the haftarot, it's written that the haftarot is called the Shach. Just swipe here, because the other I need. The 3 haftarot are called the Shach. And I will explain why. The first haftarah that was on the Shabbat of Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, was haftarah from Yirmiyahu. And it was the speech of Yirmiyahu. It's Divrei Yirmiyahu. That's how it started. That's why the Dalet is here. Then the second haftarah, it was last Saturday. And this haftarah was Shim'u Dvar Hashem. Listen to Hashem. So it's Shim'u Dvar Hashem. And this haftarah, this Shabbat is called Shabbat Chazon. This is the Shabbat Chazon. This Shabbat before Tisha B'Av is called Shabbat Chazon. Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amotz. That's the haftarah. ד' זה דברי ירמיהו. ואחר כך שין זה שימות בר השם. That's why it's called the Shach. And Chet is this Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, and it's called Shabbat Chazon. Chazon Yirmiyahu ben Amotz. Yirmiyahu ben Amotz, the prophet, tells the children of Israel that the temple is going to be ruined, and they are going to go into exile, and a lot of bad things are going to happen to them. This is the third. All 3 of them are bad haftarot. You can hear that bad things are going to happen to the children of Israel. And why? Because of their sins. So we should take it to our heart and think about what we are doing today. Let's continue. It says, when the month Mishanichnas Av Mematin Besimcha, when the month of Av comes in, we shouldn't be very happy. We should try to remember every minute of the day the ruining of the temple. Everything that makes us happy, don't enjoy it. Because we have to, it's a mitzvah to be mourning the temple. Because it says in Masechet Ta'anit, page 30, it says, Kol hamitabel al Yerushalayim zocheh lirot besimchata. He who mourns Jerusalem, the ruining of the temple, he will have the merit to see the happiness in Jerusalem, the building of the 3rd temple. So I would like to tell you, when you go to shul and you hear Megillat Eicha, when you hear Eicha in shul at the evening of Tisha B'Av, of the 9th of Av, then it says that he who really mourns the ruining of the temple can see in his mind the new temple, the 3rd temple. Do you understand? He has a merit to see the 3rd temple in front of his eyes. So if you truly mourn the ruining of the temple and what happened to Jerusalem, so Be'ezrat Hashem, God will give you the merit to see in your mind, you see, to have a vision of the 3rd temple, Be'ezrat Hashem. Sheibaneh b'mehera b'yameinu, amen. Another thing, it says if you have a lawsuit, If you have a lawsuit, don't do anything in these days. They are not good days for Jewish people. There's no blessing in these days for Jewish people. Try to postpone it. Do whatever you can. Not only after Tisha B'Av, after the 9th of Av, but until the end of Av. If you can't do it until the 10th of Av. But if you can, postpone it after Av, after the month of Av, okay? Because this month is not good. Not for lawsuits, not for bad things for the children of Israel. Now, I would like to tell you, there's another thing, that we do not bless the Levanat, the moon, until after the 9th of Av. After the 9th of Av, because of the ruining, we do not bless, because it makes us happy. We do not bless the moon only after the 9th of Av. Now, let's continue. Now another thing, we do not eat meat, chicken, or drink wine. And why do we not do that? We do not that. It's more than pleasure. It makes us feel good, but it's more than that. Because of the temple, sorry?
Juice, grape juice, can we do? Can we drink?
Yes, I'm saying wine you cannot drink. I would like to tell you, dear women, why do we not drink wine, and why don't we eat meat? Because it says that when the ruining of the temple started, before that, remember I told you on the 17th of Tammuz, they stopped bringing sacrifices called Korbanot Tamid. So they stopped bringing animals for sacrifice, which means there wasn't meat, no chicken. So we do not, because of that, we remember that we do not eat meat, we do not eat chicken. More than that, we do not drink wine, because wine is yain nesach that they used to put on the altar. And because it stopped from the 17th of Tammuz, it's also a custom not to drink wine. We do drink on Shabbat. This Shabbat we'll eat and drink because of Onek Shabbat, because of Shabbat itself. But we do not do that during the week, okay? And I would like to tell you something. We do not eat meat or chicken or drink wine until twilight time on the 10th of Av.
Yeah.
Okay? Until twilight time of the 10th of Av. And I'll explain it. I'll explain to you something. When the first temple was ruined, it started to be ruined on the 7th of Av. But they started to light the fire in the temple on the 9th of Av. And the fire was over only when the 10th of Av ended. When it was already night in the 10th of Av. That's why we do not truly eat meat and drink wine during that time. I would like to tell you, dear women, you will ask me, so why don't we fast 2 days? It was because the fire, they burnt the temple on the 9th of Av, and also the burning continued in the 10th of Av. So the question is, why don't we have a fast for 2 days? So the rabbis won't put a fast, the Rabbanan will not put a fast that all of the people cannot stand, which means it's very hard for them. Because one fast for a whole day, it's like Yom Kippur, we have a fast a whole day, just like Yom Kippur. So one fast is very hard. So 2 days of a fast is, almost nobody can do that. So they do not do that, and they started the fast instead of the 10th of Av on the 9th, because that was the time that the burning started of the temple. So that was the time of the burning of the temple, so then they started the fast, only on the 9th of Av. Okay, let's continue. It says you should not wash any laundry during the 9 days. Now, women that have small children, you can wash, but betzinah. You know what I mean? Don't go to a big place where a lot of people are, a laundry place with other people, but do it quietly at home, because you have a lot of children, but because it's a way of mourning. When a person mourns, God forbid, sits Shiva, he does not wash his clothes, and he does not cut his hair. So we do the same thing. It's a way of mourning. So the 9 days we do not wash our clothes. And then I told you that we do not buy new things on the 9 days, and we do not, it says you should not take a bath during these 9 days. You should not take a bath. But what kind of bath? A bath of pleasure. You do not en rechitzat ta'anug, which means that, you sit down in a bath just to relax yourself. There's no, you go just to the shower just to clean yourself in order to daven or to do what you need to do, or you came from work. But not rechitzat ta'anug, for pleasure. You do not do anything for pleasure for the 9 days. Now, את יכולה, כן, אבל רחיצה מהירה, רחיצה רק לשם רחיצה. Yes.
Can we wear the clean clothes, like which we had a laundry?
Yes, yes.
Because like my girlfriend, she told me, she said like you can wear like whatever you wear before, like just.
No, you can wear clean clothes, but you're not allowed to wash the clothes in laundry.
No, but they said that the women you cannot wear the clean clothes, laundry clothes.
You need to wear like.
No. If there is not saying anywhere that you have to wear.
No, I'll explain to you. You're allowed to wear because those days until Tisha B'Av, dear women, it's a good question. הן מתרגמות אחת לשנייה.
მაგრამ ახლა ყოველთვის რომ გამოიცვალო შენ ნაირები და ისი ამომოდა ეს არის ილუსტრაციული
When is the shower about you change allowed or was it a pleasure? And then on Sunday, Tuesday, each time I'm coming out, yes, shower. You have these that you change and you wear them for 10 minutes. And you take it out and leave it for these
Yes, but listen, this is the machmirim. What happens when you sweat in your clothes? You can't stand and daven in front of Hashem when you're sweating. You understand? When your clothes are dirty, when you dress dirty, and you want to daven shikarit or mincha or arvit in front of Hashem, you cannot stand with dirty clothes in front of Hashem.
I changed my arm.
Yes.
And I wear it about 10 minutes. And these three special, I change it 3 times. I wear it on, if I will take a shower, I wear it on Sunday.
Okay, that's okay. זה בסדר, כן, that's okay.
Not dirty.
That's okay. I would like to tell you, dear women, let's continue. You know that on the evening of Tisha B'Av, when the fast starts, you are not allowed to eat, to drink. You're not allowed to wash yourself, okay, to have a shower. You're not allowed to have sikah, which means to put oil on yourself. You're not allowed to wear a sandal that is from leather. You're not allowed to be intimate with your husbands, like b'diuk the same laws like Tisha B'Av, like Yom Kippurim, the same thing. And now we're going to speak about the evening of Tisha B'Av. It says when you go to the synagogue, so you'll see that in some synagogues you take off your shoes when you go into the synagogue. You sit on low chairs in the synagogue. You will see, like your morning exactly. And then you will see that they start, the Shliach Tzibur reads Megillat Eicha. And he reads it with a voice like a crying voice. When he comes to the word Eicha, he raises his voice. And then again the voice goes low, he lowers his voice. You will see that it's very important to go that evening to the shul. You know why? Because it gives you the feeling of the ruining of the temple. לא שמעת. כן, בטח, רשום לי, עוד מעט אני אגיד את זה. אני אעשה את זה לפי הסדר פשוט. I would like to tell you, dear women.
So Monday night, yes?
Monday night, yes. It says also, dear women, יש לאדם להצטער בעניין משכבו, which means when you go to sleep on Monday night, if, for example, you sleep on 2 pillows, sleep on 1 pillow. Do you understand? It's a symbol of mourning. More than that, there are people that even sleep with a stone under their pillow, with a stone. Because of Yaakov Avinu, you remember that he took 12 stones when he was in Bet El, and he put it under his head like a pillow. And so, because of Yaakov, there's also people who have a custom to take a stone and put it under their pillow. And I would like to tell you, dear women, we do not learn Torah at all on Tisha B'Av.
Yes.
Even until the 10th, when the 10th comes in, even then you're not allowed. Why? You're not allowed because Divrei Torah mesamchim. It's written in Tehillim, Pikudei Hashem Yesharim Mesamchei Lev, which means he who studies Torah is happy. You know, when we study Torah, it makes the soul happy. So we do not study Torah that day. And Tehillim we do not say. Not Tehillim and not Torah. It's better to wait until the 10th. The 10th of Av in the afternoon, and then you can read. But you cannot do that during Tisha B'Av. Yes.
It's our minhag to go to the cemetery for, whoever
Yes, yes,
has
if you
memorial.
want, yes.
But we're not allowed to read Tehillim, yes, on the grave.
Can, it's a minhag, it's a custom.
Yes, but should we read or should not?
No, you shouldn't. No, you're not allowed. Nothing. You can only you're only allowed to read from the book of Yirmiyahu the prophet. Everything over there that speaks about the ruining of the temple and the exile of the children of Israel. You're allowed to read from the book of Iyov. But the problem is that it says even, the Rabbanan say, our sages say, that even if you have a thought of a Dvar Torah, of a learning of Torah, and it makes you happy, this is also not allowed. That's why it's better not to study at all Torah on that day. Okay? And not read Tehillim.
Can I ask you one very, very quick question? Some people, when they are going to cemetery, they founding the stones and they putting on the gravestone on it. What does it mean? Actually, in Georgia, we never do that. Before we go to the cemetery, we light the candle, we ask
it's only a custom. It's only a custom.
But here, I see that many people they do, but I don't.
Do like the custom from your home. Kiminhag the Torah. Okay? Like you saw at home.
What about flowers?
Jewish people never grow flowers.
Подождите, дайте объяснить, потому что многие люди...
We do not have a custom of putting flowers on the grave. We do not have a custom of putting flowers on the grave, the Jewish people. Okay, let's continue. You are not allowed to wash yourselves on Tisha B'Av. Listen very carefully, dear women. It's like Yom Kippurim, you do not wash yourself. But you will tell me, what happens if I go to the bathroom? Then I have to do a netilah. So what do? You wash only up till here, at the end of your fingers. You put the water. And in the morning, because the bad spirit is in between the fingers, you put the waters of the netilah in the morning up till here, okay? At the end of the fingers. And then when you go to the bathroom, if you washed your hands only up till here, you can also put them on your eyes if your eyes are dirty. Do you understand? This you are allowed. It's like Yom Kippurim.
What about whoever have babies?
אוכל אחרי כמה אפשר לנשים נגיד. נשים לא עושים את זה כל יום עד המנחה נגיד בערבית. נשים מותר להכין להם, נכון אוכל?
כאילו, איזה סעודה? סעודה מפסקת? לזה את מתכוונת?
לא, אני מתכוונת בצום נגיד, ביום הזה.
אני אגיד לך עוד רגע, אני אגיע לזה, כן, באיזה שעה להתחיל להכין את הארוחה, כן.
Whoever have a babies and when you want to wash lower body of the baby, little baby,
this is כן, זה לא אסור. Yes, because it's not, you're not doing it because of a pleasure, you're doing it because of הכרח. if a need, you need to do that because the baby threw up, the baby, exactly, so it's out of need. So this you can do. Nothing for...
After that, I'm allowed to wash my hands after I wash the baby?
Only the places that are dirty. Yes. Okay, let's continue. I told you also that you cannot put any oil on yourselves. And let's continue. And
No perfume, no.
a woman that has to go to the mikveh on the night of Tisha B'Av, she does not go on the night of Tisha B'Av. She waits until the night of the 10th of Av. Okay? Because I told you that on Tisha B'Av you are not allowed to be intimate with your husbands. And it says more than that, that even the husband should not touch his wife on Tisha B'Av. Just like Yom Kippur. Yes.
בברית המועצת היה לנו כאילו ככה מנהג שבאותו יום, ביום התשעה באב, לפני שהיינו הולכים לבית קברות, היינו עושים איזה שעוגיות, משהו בבית של ירח.
עם שמרים, עם השמרים
תפוח.
רגע, לפני שאתם הולכים לבית קברות?
או שאחרי בית קברות.
היו אופים כמו משהו שמרים מנוחה.
רגע, שאני אבין אותה.
שישרף השמן.
Okay, listen, dear women, this is a custom and you can do it because I told you no. Minhag the Torah, things that you learned at home that is a custom, you have, yes, like your mother did and your father and your grandmother and etc. Okay, dear women, you are not allowed to ask. You are not allowed on Tisha B'Av to say shalom one to another, which means you are not allowed to greet. You are forbidden to greet your neighbor on Tisha B'Av. You are not allowed to say shalom to each other. And if a person does not know, or a goy comes to you and says hello, you can say, you can greet him, but in a very low voice. But you are not allowed to say shalom because this is not a time of peace. So you are not allowed to say shalom in these times. In the time of Tisha B'Av, you do not greet each other with shalom or boker tov. You do not say that. Because this is a... סליחה?
Say in time of Tisha B'Av, you mean the 9 days?
בדיוק בתשעה באב. I'm talking about the laws of תשעה באב. באותו יום, בתשעה באב. עד יציאת תשעה באב, כן. כן. You are not allowed. And another thing, it says that on Tisha B'Av you should not stroll in public places in order to avoid laughter, in order that you won't be happy. You'll see something and you will want to laugh. You have to prevent yourself from doing that. Another thing, work on Tisha B'Av. It says in Shulchan Aruch Mekutzar, and also it says in Mishnah Berurah, it says like this. It is our custom that any work requiring time, even work for which no skill is required, is forbidden the night of Tisha B'Av and in the day, and in the daytime until noon. Which means until noon, you are not allowed to work from the night of Tisha B'Av until noon, okay? You are not allowed to work.
It's not like the pleasure. Work is like that. You are obligated to work.
You are not allowed because the meaning of Tisha B'Av that you will remember Tisha B'Av and concentrate on it. Not to work on that time. It says, I'll give you the explanation. It's until noon. I would like to tell you, it says kacha, in the afternoon all work is permitted. In the afternoon, all work is permitted. It says it is also accustomed to forbid doing business before noon. You are not allowed to do business. And why? And I'm going to give you a quote. Just a minute. It says like this. Shulchan Aruch says, the full Shulchan Aruch, it's recited over there, that one who does work on Tisha B'Av will not see any blessing from the work. That's from Shulchan Aruch. One who works on Tisha B'Av does not see any blessing on the night of Tisha B'Av until the noon of Tisha B'Av. In the afternoon you can work. Exactly.
On nights, right? You cannot work at all.
No, you are not allowed from the night of Tisha B'Av, which means it's Monday night until the afternoon of Tuesday. Yes, you are not allowed to work. You do not see any blessing in work at that time. Now, in order to prepare... כן, בערך, אחרי הצהריים, אז מותר לעבוד. I would like to tell you, if you want to prepare סעודה, You are allowed to do it also just in the afternoon, which means you are not allowed to touch anything until noon Tuesday. In the afternoon, once we come to the afternoon of Tuesday, you are allowed to prepare a Suda, dear women, okay?
What time? For example, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
לא, בערך את יכולה מ-4 בערך להתחיל להכין.
I don't understand.
At 4 o'clock approximately. I would like to tell you, dear women, on the morning of Tisha B'Av, the men, remind your husbands, your sons are not allowed to put tefillin. They do not put tefillin, they do not put talit, they can only put tzitzit without a blessing. On Tuesday morning, on the morning of Tisha B'Av, because talit and tefillin is something that makes you happy. So you do not do that. And it's also pe'er. It means that you put the name of God on you, and because of the ruining of the temple, you do not do that. But what they do is on mincha. In mincha, they put tefillin, they put talit, they bless everything they didn't do on shacharit, they do it on mincha. So remind your husbands, because sometimes the men do not remember, remind your husbands, your sons, that in shacharit, on shacharit, they do not put tefillin, neither talit, they put tzitzit, but without a blessing. They do the blessings and put talit and tefillin on mincha bezrat Hashem, on the day of Tisha B'Av. I told you that we continue with the minhag until the 10th of Av, because the burning of the temple continued until the twilight of the 10th of Av. So we continue that. And I would like to tell you what happened on the 9th of Av. There are 5 things that we count them that happened, very harsh things, on the 9th of Av. The first thing, you remember that the children of Israel worshipped the golden cloth. So the punishment of killing the ones that did that was on the 9th of Av. Another thing that happened on the 9th of Av, you remember when the spies came and all of the children of Israel were crying that they didn't want to go to the land of Israel, the land of milk and honey? This happened also on the 9th of Av. And God said, because you cried for vain, I'm going to cause you to cry for a real reason. And the temple, and the first temple and the second temple were ruined on the 9th of Av. It says also that the city that was called Beitar was captured on the 9th of Av. We'll study about Beitar when we'll go to Hanukkah. So I would like you remember, Beitar is the city during the times of the war with Bar Kokhba and the Romans, and because on the 9th of Av, this city was captured. It says also that on the 9th of Av, they ruined totally the city of Jerusalem. And how did they do that? They just went through it and nothing was left. It was like a field with anything in it. And it says that the Romans wanted to take also, they wanted to take the name and the feeling of belonging from the Jewish people to Jerusalem, to the temple. So they called Israel, they called all the land of Israel Palestine. Why? Because of the nation that was called Plishtim, that used to be near the shore, on the south shore of Israel. But I would like to tell you that this nation that was called Plishtim was 100 years already, did not exist anymore, for hundreds of years. But they wanted the Jewish people to have no connection to the land of Israel. So they gave that land the name Palestina. Now you know the source of the name Palestine. It's not Palestinaim. It's not the land of Palestine. It's because of the Plishtim that were on the south near the shore. But they did that, the conquerors of the land of Israel, because they didn't want any connection between the Jewish people, any spiritual and physical connection between the Jewish people and the land of Israel. And now we're going to start, dear women, with the Ken.
One more question about what if a boy was born on the 2nd of Av and his Brit Milah is supposed to be on the 9th?
You do the Brit Milah. כן, ברית מילה לא דוחים, you do the ברית מילה, וסעודת מצווה עושים יותר מאוחר.
without סעודת מצווה.
כן, you do the סעודת מצווה יותר מאוחר, כשנגמר רב. Now I would like to start, dear women, Pidyon, Brit Milah, everything, this is a mitzvah. So you do that, but you don't do the Sudat mitzvah. I would like to start, dear women, and tell you that we're going to speak about the 10 people that died, that were executed, that's the right word, during the times of the ruining of the Second Temple, after the ruining of the Second Temple by the Romans. And the names were, let's concentrate. The Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, which was the president of the Sanhedrin at that time. Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha, which was a Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, remember Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon. Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon was the father-in-law of Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. And his daughter, one of his daughters was Bruria Tzadeket, the righteous Bruria, which knew all the laws of Jewish people. And then Rabbi Shabar HaSofer, Rabbi Elazar ben Dama, Rabbi Hanina ben Chakinai, Rabbi Chutzpit HaMeturgeman. It says that Rabbi Chutzpit HaMeturgeman was just like Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel. You remember Yonatan ben Uziel, who wrote the translation for the Torah? And his grave is in Amuka, you remember, in Israel. And usually people go over there and ask for blessings to get married. Lezivuk Mishorosh Nishmatam. It says that he was so righteous. He was righteous like Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel, Atana Yonatan ben Uziel. And it says about both of them that when they spoke Torah, every bird that went over their head was burnt. The birds could not fly over their heads because when they flew over their heads, they were burned just by the breath of their mouth. They're the words that went out of their mouth. So they were very righteous. And then we have Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. And now we're going to start to speak about it. It says, in Chumash Vayikra, it says, Bechol Maaser ben Bakar, which means every 10th of Bakar, which is an oxen or a sheep, Kol asher yavor tachat hashevet, which each one that goes counted, Ha'asiri yeh kodesh leHashem. The 10th is going to be for Hashem. You remember, this is a Maaser. The 10th goes to Hashem. So I would like to tell you something. This symbolizes, this sentence, the 10th people that were killed, the 10th rabbis that were killed, that were slaughtered, that were executed during the time after the ruining of the Second Temple. And how? And I will explain it. You know why this decree came on these 10 people, these righteous people? It came because of the selling of Yosef HaTzadik. Because of the 9 brothers that sold Yosef HaTzadik, 10 righteous people died. Because Yosef HaTzadik, 10 drops of sperm went out of him, Zera Levatala, went out of him when he was, you remember that I told you already about Eshet Potiphera, the wife of Potiphera, that she was eager to be with him, she wanted to sleep with him, she wanted to be with him, but he was so righteous. And then one day they were alone in the house because it was a celebration, and all of the maid servants and also the men servants went everyone to the Nile, because you know the Nile was flowing, and they went, it was a celebration, and everybody went out. Only Yosef HaTzadik was at home. He was studying Torah, and then she came home, and they were alone, and she wanted him to be with her, to be intimate with her, and he did not want. And it says in the Midrash that he saw the figure of his father and of Hashem in the window, and it says that he took his 10 nails in his feet, and he put them, it says like it went into the ground, because he tried to be strong against the evil spirit. And it says that from his fingernails over here 10 drops of sperm went out. I would like to tell you that he was supposed to have, Yosef HaTzadik, 12 children, 12 sons. He was supposed to have, because 10 drops of sperm went out of him in vain, he had only 2 sons, Ephraim and Menashe. But he was supposed to have 12 sons. And this happened to him because his brothers sold him. So it says, the Midrash says, but you remember I told you, it wasn't their fault, because God said that they have to sell him, because the decree that he told Avraham Avinu b'Brit Ben HaBeitarim, which means when he promised Avraham Avinu, it is in Bereshit chapter 15, Pasuk 13, it says over there that God told him that his descendants are going to be slaves in a place that they do not know for 400 years. This had to happen because God said that. You remember I told you, whatever a person says, everything that a God says or a person says, everything that he takes out of his mouth, he has to do. It's like a neder. So God told that to Avraham Avinu, and then what happened, it had to be true. So what did he do? He made it says made a plot in order that the children of Israel and Yaakov Avinu and 70 souls will go to Egypt. There they're going to be slaves. So we can see that if we look at it, they were not to be, we cannot accuse them and say because of you it happened to them. I would like to explain to you something. These days now, and the days of the ruining of the temple, are days that God is angry with us. So there are days of Astarat Panim, that we do not see him. In this physical, because you remember what I told you, that when the children of Israel were standing in front of the sea, they could see Hashem. They could see Hashem. Even the maid saw Hashem, the maid servant. But now we cannot see Hashem. So this is the days of Astarat Panim. So it says, because those are the days of Esther Panim, there are two courts up there in heaven, two courts. One of them is the court of God, and the other one is the court of the angel that is called Metatron. And Metatron is Chanoch. You remember in Bereshit Chanoch? He became Metatron. So I would like to tell you that the judgment, the court that judges, that the judge over there is Metatron. The angel Metatron is a court that has judgment, hard judgment. And usually all of the regular people are judged over there. We are judged for everything that we do, every sin that we do. They do not forget anything. Everything that we do we are accountable for. But in the court of Hashem, he has mercy. Over there, only the righteous people are judged. So God does not judge them harshly. So the children of Yaakov, the nine children that sold Yosef, were judged in those times in the court of Hashem. But in the times of the ruining of the temple, it was a time of Esther Panim. It was the time when God was angry with us. So they were sent to be judged in the hands of Metatron, of the angel Metatron, and there they were found guilty. And I'll give you more. I'm just giving you the tip of an iceberg, and I will continue to talk with you about it. But I would like to explain to you. We said that we have over here 10 righteous people that were killed over here, and I told you there were only 9 brothers that sold Yosef Tzaddik. Only 9 brothers. You remember what happened? Binyamin wasn't there. He didn't even know about the selling. Yosef was the one that was sold. So he's not, we don't count him. And Reuven told them to throw him to the pit, and he went from there. And he did tshuva. He was worried what to do with him. So we know that 3 brothers were not there. Only 9 brothers were there. But do you remember that they decided to do a cherem? And then they had to have 10 people for a cherem. So what did they do? They added the Shekhinah. They added God. They made God promise that he would not tell Yaakov that they sold Yosef. So the Shekhinah was with them. So it means that one of the rabbis over here is against the Shekhinah. He died for the Shekhinah. One of the rabbis over here. And who was that rabbi? I would like to tell you. It says that it says like this. Bechol HaMe'aser, I'll put it in a different color. Bechol HaMe'aser tells us exactly who was the 10th one. And I will give you that in Rashi Tevot. Each letter over here, Bechol HaMe'aser, every 10th, each letter over here shows us who it was. It says, Beyad'u, the Vav is Beyad'u, in order that they will know, Kulam, everyone will know, Lama, why, Met, died, Akiva, Shehaya, Rabbi Akiva, it means Rabbi Akiva, שהיה רועה, he was a shepherd. Everybody will know why Akiva, the Rabbi Akiva passed away, died, he was a shepherd of bakar vetzon, of oxen and sheep. You remember that Rabbi Akiva was a shepherd? He was the shepherd of the sheep of Kalbat Savua. He married Rachel, you remember? He used to work for her father. He was a shepherd. You remember that? He was a shepherd of her father. So it says, Veyad'u kulam, Lama met, it says, Veyad'u kulam, and you see, those are the letters, V'chol ma'aser. This is from the secrets of what is written over here. Lama met Akiva shehaya ro'eh bakar vetzon, which means that Rabbi Akiva he passed away, he died, he was sacrificed for the Shekhinah.
He wasn't even a Jew.
He was a Jew, of course he was a Jew. Of course he was a Jew. I would like to tell you, dear women, Rabbi Akiva, which was very righteous, he was the teacher, he was the rabbi of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He was a big rabbi, Rabbi Akiva. And I would like to tell you, and then it says, Kol asher yavor tachat hashevet, which means each one of the 9 rabbis over here, the other 9 rabbis, they were instead of one of the tribes, one of the children of Yaakov Avinu. They came because they were sacrificed instead of them. Each one of them has Siri Yeh Kodesh LaHashem. The 10th is Kodesh LaHashem, is for Hashem. The 10th is Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef is the 10th against the Shekhinah. And it says in Sefer HaGilgulim that wrote Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of Arizal, Zchutot Hagen Elenu. I would like to tell you the Yortzeit of the Arizal is on the 5th of Av. Bezrat Hashem is on the 5th. This week, it's on, if I remember right, the 5th of Av, Shel Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi. The 5th of Av is his Yortzeit. Okay, remember that, so you can light a candle on this and put money in Ken Ashkenazi. His Yortzeit is on the 5th of Av. I would like to tell you, it's written over there. He writes it in the name of Arizal. It's written, V'shamati mimori, and I heard from my teacher, from my rabbi, Ki asara rugei malchut, the 10th Tanaim that were executed after the ruining of the Second Temple, were instead of the 10th tribes. Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, and Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, he was against the Shekhinah. He was the one that they put him as the 10th one for the Shekhinah. וזהו שאמר אשריך רבי עקיבא שיצאה נשמתך באחד. And that's why it was written that Rabbi Akiva should be happy that his soul went out of his body with the word of Echad, the one, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So I would like to tell you, Harizal says that Rabbi Akiva, you remember I told you that Rabbi Akiva was a reincarnation of Zimri ben Salu, but he was also a reincarnation of Yaakov Avinu.
Wow.
Listen very carefully. The Arizal, listen, let's concentrate so we can do everything. The Arizal says that Rabbi Akiva, look at its name, Akiva.
But he was going, no?
Yaakov.
No.
Yes.
הוא גיור. רבי עקיבא הוא גיור, נכון?
כן, אני אספר לכם את רבי מאיר הבעל הנס. גיור צדק.
How it's possible God give like him like Yaakov Avinu?
How did he give Ruth zchut? Ruth HaMoaviyah. Isn't she Gioret Tzedek? It's a big zchut. I would like to tell you, dear women, look, Harizal says that Rabbi Akiva, look at the letters of his name. If you take the letters Yaakov out of his name, is Yaakov Aleph. The first letter of the alphabet. Look how beautiful it is. What does it mean? Why is it Yaakov Aleph? What was the problem? Why did Yaakov Avinu sin that he had to come back in Rabbi Akiva? And why did he have to pass away in such a death? He had such a death of Rabbi Akiva. We'll speak about it in a few minutes. He had such a harsh death. Mita meshuna. And then he died exactly, his soul went out of his body when he said Echad, one. So it says, the Midrash says like this. that Rabbi Akiva did not, because Rabbi Akiva sent away Yosef to search for his sons. You remember he told him, go to your brothers and see if they're in peace. Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu sent Yosef to that. Yaakov Avinu sent Yosef to search for his brothers and to see that they're in peace. He wanted him to come back and to say good things about them and not slander them. So it says when he sent him, he caused a problem to the name of God. You ask him, what kind of problem can he cause to the name of God? It says that God says in the Mikra, God tells him, Vayikra lo El Elokei Yisrael. God calls Yaakov Avinu El Elokei Yisrael. El Elokei Yisrael. That's how he calls him. And it's very weird. Why did he call Yaakov Avinu El? God. He calls him God. Because Yaakov Avinu wasn't God, he was God. But God tells him, Ata Eloka lemala v'ani Eloka lemata. That's what God tells him. That's what the Midrash says. And why? God said, like I am one in heavens, you're also one over here. How come? When we say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, look. The Aleph of Echad, the Aleph is Alufo Shel Olam. That is God, that He is the only one. He is the creator of the world. He is Alufo Shel Olam. But then we have Chet Daled. Chet in numerical value is 8. Daled is 4. Together it's 12. What is the 12? Why is it connected to Aleph? Because 12, look, what is Aleph? I told you it's Vav. It's written by Sofer Stam and 2 Yudim. So together it's 6, 10, and 10. It's 26. What is the name of God that is 26? Yud Kuf Vav Kuf. How many combinations does this name have? 12 combinations. You remember, every month I give you the right combination of the name of God for that month. Look how beautiful it is. So God says, my name is Aleph. It starts, I'm Alufo Shel Olam. I am the only one who created the world. But my name, Yud Kuf Vav Kuf, has 12 combinations. Now, who had 12 sons? Yaakov. Each son was parallel to the name, one of the names of God, from Yud K Vav K. Each son. When Yaakov Avinu sent his son Yosef to search for his brothers, he did not send him with someone to accompany him. So he did not know if he will come back. Maybe a bad animal will eat him. So what he caused, that one of the name of God will be missing. Something can happen, because each one of them, why was it 12? Because it was parallel to the 12 combinations of the name of God. Yud Kuf Vav Kuf. So when he sent his son, he caused a danger to the name of God, because it was parallel. Everything that we have here in this the physical earth is also, we have it in heaven. So everything is parallel. So God said, how could you send him without someone to accompany him, to see that he was well? And you saw what happened. He was 17 years old. He went to eat. They sold him. He did not come back home. And then the Shekhinah wasn't with Yaakov until he met Yosef. And instead of hugging him and kissing him, he first says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, in order to complete the Yechud, in order to complete the name of God. Because it's very weird when a father doesn't see his son for 22 years, the first thing that he do, he will cry, he will fall on him, he will hug him, he will kiss him, he would like to feel him, to smell him, to feel him. But he did not do that. Instead he stood and said, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So it says, why did he do that? In order to complete the name of God, the 12 combinations of the name of God. And how do we know that Yaakov Avinu is also Echad? Is parallel to Echad, because Yaakov Avinu, this is the Aleph. Remember Yaakov Aleph from Akiva. And Chad, look, it's 12 sons he had. But the 8 is for the 8 sons that he had from Rachel and Leah. Leah had 6 sons. You remember? She had Reuven, Levi, Shimon, Yehuda, Issachar, Zvulun. 6 sons. And another 2 sons were from Rachel, Yosef and Binyamin. And the other 4 were from Bilhah and Zilpah. They had, Bilhah had Dan and Naphtali, and Zilpah had Asher and Gad, both of them. So this is the 4. So it's exactly parallel to the name of God. So he had to come in order to complete his soul. He had to come in Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva, his soul was taken when he said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and then his soul was taken in order to complete the name of God. It wasn't enough that he stood over there and said Shema Yisrael when he met his son. Do you understand? Excuse me?
Rabbi Akiva had no children at all.
So I would like to tell you, dear women, let's continue because I won't finish if I won't start now. So it says, I would like to start. So it says that when God ruined the temple, I'm going to read it to you and translate because some of the things you have to hear the way they're written. It says like this. Kara Kadosh Baruch Hu lemalachei Asheret. God called the angels and told them, Melech Basar Vadam, he says, king in this earth, on this earth, Kshemet Lomet, that someone dies over him, he says, Vehu Mitabel, and he's in mourning, what does he do? They told him he sits and cries. So God says, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit and cry, he says. And it says, Vayikra Hashem Elokim Tzvaot lebechi velemispad ulekarcha. He says, I'm going to tell all of you to cry, to be in mourning, that nothing will enjoy. We're not going to enjoy anything, like everything is a desert, he says. And God says, Bo lelech, he says, let's go. Myself and you, we're going to see what did the enemies do to the temple, to my children. And he goes to see, and it says the Shekhinah goes to see it. Miyad alach HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'malachei Asheret v'Yirmiyahu lefanav. Yirmiyahu is the prophet that wrote Megillat Eicha. He's the prophet that wrote about the ruining of the temple. V'kevan shera HaKadosh Baruch Hu et Bet HaMikdash, because he saw the temple, it says, Bevadai zeu beiti v'zeu menechoti. This is my house. This is where I rest. My Shekhinah rests over there. And the enemies came and they did anything they wished for. And he says, Oy li al beiti, says, Oy li, that my house was ruined. Banai echanatem, he says, my children, where are you? He says, Ohavai echanatem, my loved ones, where are you? God says, when he sees the ruining of the temple and the burning of the temple, what shall I do to you? He says, Hitareti bachem velo chazartem b'tshuva. He says, I told you to do tshuva. I sent prophets to tell you to do tshuva, and you did not listen to me. So I had to take the nations and see that they will punish you, in order that you will wake up and see and remember me. And it's, the same thing happens today. I would like to tell you that in Iran, they say that we are Metzoraim. We have leprosy all over us. You'll see the nations, they dislike us. You see in Poland, they have in certain places signs that dogs and Jewish people are not allowed to go in. It's only because of our sins. God says, you want to mingle with the nations? I will show you that you do not belong. They're going to throw you up. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're going to throw you. They will not want you in between them. This means that God is knocking on our door very hard to tell us you have to do tshuva. It's the same. It's really the same time. And it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it says to Yirmiyahu, אני דומה היום לאדם שהיה לו בן יחידי ועשה לו חופה ומת בתוך החופה שלא נדע מצרות. God says, the Midrash says, שלא נדע, he says, you can compare me to a father that had only one son, and he's going to marry his son. There's going to be a wedding, and on the day of the wedding, the day of the chuppah, the son dies. It is the same thing, God says. You can compare it to this. Do you understand how serious it is? It's the same thing, God says. And then he says to Yirmiyahu, go and call the forefathers. I want them to mourn over the ruining of the temple. Lech bekra leAvraham, leYitzchak, leYaakov, leMoshe, מקבריהם, from their graves, wake them up, he says. שהיו יודעים לבכות, so they can cry over their children, they can cry over the temple, over Jerusalem. And it says ככה, והיו בוכים והולכים משער לשער, they went from gate to gate in Jerusalem, and they were crying over the ruining of the temple and the ruining of Jerusalem. And I would like to give you just a sense of how it's important to mourn the ruining of the temple. It says about the Arizal that he had a big student, זכותו תגן עלינו, that was called Rabbi Avraham Alevi, זכותו תגן עלינו. Arizal used to say that he was the reincarnation of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. That's how righteous he was. Rabbi Avraham Alevi. He was the student of Arizal. As the Arizal said about him that he was the reincarnation of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. Look how righteous he was to say that he was the reincarnation of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. So it says that on Chatzot, at midnight, he used to go in Tzfat to all of the houses and to shout out over there that the men should go out and should mourn the ruining of the temple. It's called Tikkun Chatzot. It's called Tikkun Chatzot. They sit in Bapetach, in the front of the door of the house near the mezuzah, and they wear sack. They wear like a special dress of mourning, of mourning. So they sit over there and they cry over the temple that was ruined. It's a special tefillah, special davening.
Only, right?
The men do that. So he used to call all of them and say, how can you sit in your homes? How can you sleep when the third temple is not here? You should go out, you should cry, you should do whatever you can. And it says in the Midrash, they used to start davening, Tikkun Chatzot, in the front of the doors, and then they used to study Torah. Each one to the level that he could. Part of them studied Kabbalah and Zohar. Part of them studied Gemara and Mishnayot. Part of them studied Chumash, Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. It depended on the level of the person. But he used to wake them up to do that. And then one day Arizal says to Rabbi Avraham Alevi, he says, I saw that you are going to pass away now. He was young. And he said, I can see that you don't have life anymore. So he said, but I will tell you what to do. If you do that, you will have, God is going to add life, a few years to your life. And he told him, you have to fast. You have to fast and to go to the Kotel HaMa'aravi, the Western Wall, and daven over there. So he fasted for 3 days and 3 nights. And he went to Jerusalem. And over there he was davening in front of the Kotel, the Western Wall. And when he davened, he saw a figure of a woman with black clothes on her. He was so frightened, he started shouting and he passed away. He fainted, not passed away. He fainted, sorry. He fainted, but he was so frightened. He saw the figure and he got very frightened, so he fainted. He fainted, he fell asleep. He was dreaming that the Shekhinah was dressed up with beautiful clothes. Beautiful clothes. The Shekhinah came to him and said, don't worry, I'm going to gather all my children back to Jerusalem and build the third temple. When he woke up, he went back to Tzfat, and the Arizal was there. And when Arizal saw him, he said,
you saw? Passed away just like
no, he fainted. Sorry. So it says that he went back and the Arizal saw him, and he said, I know you saw the Shekhinah. He saw it by his face. It was all light. So he saw it by his face. He said, I would like to tell you, God added 22 years, 22 years for your life. He added to his life 22 years.
And the light was the Shekhinah, right? That he saw when he fainted.
Ken.
So what was the lady's figure?
It's also a symbol of Shekhinah that is in mourning. The Shekhinah now is in exile. So the Shekhinah is also mourning with us. Right. Because it's in exile, it says.
So Shekhinah
yes. So and then it came to him to show him that there's hope, that Bezrat Hashem there's light. But we need to do tshuva in order that the light will come.
So when the person sees the Shekhinah in a dream, he saw that the image of Shekhinah.
You do not see. You do not see Shekhinah. אין כזה דבר. רק...
You said 22 years.
Wait, listen. סליחה?
That's what I'm asking.
כן.
How you can know that it's Shechina? I mean, how he knew
Regular
why
people,
22?
because he was so righteous. זה לא אנשים רגילים, they're not regular people.
Okay, and why 22 years and why not more?
It's like, this is what God gave him. 22 years, wait.
I want to know why.
I will give an explanation. One of explanation, sorry?
Came through on after 20
Yes.
years.
Excellent. You אומרת שיעקב אבינו saw his son after 22 years. But also there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So don't forget that. So I would like to tell you, dear women, the Shekhinah is a merit that only righteous tzaddikim can see. And no, you remember that Nadav and Abihu looked at the Shekhinah and God caused them to die, to pass away. It's a big sin to look at the Shekhinah. Regular people do not have that merit to look at the Shekhinah. לא מגיעים בכלל. מי שרואה מת, אין כזה דבר. It doesn't say alive in order even to tell that to someone. But those are very righteous people. So let me continue and tell you, dear women. I gave you now the 10th. Yeah. I would like to tell you, it says in the Midrash Elyashiv, I would like to tell you the story, how it happened, how it was caused that they will be slaughtered. Shh, listen, it's very important. It says that when God created the trees, כשברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את האילנות, גברו וגבהו וגדלו עד מאוד, which means they became tall and strong and heavy, the trees. And then it says that they were very happy, ושמחו שמחה גדולה. כיוון שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את הברזל, because God created the iron, they became very sad. They said, if the iron is going to have a hand, a wood hand, they can chop us. So they became very sad. So the iron, barzel. So if it has a hand, you can chop the trees. So I would like to tell you, dear women, this is what happened to the children of Israel. Because we are not allowed to teach Torah to non-Jewish people. It says, in Masechet Chagiga, it says, page 13, it says, ואמר רבי אמי, אין מוסרים דברי תורה לעובד כוכבים. You do not teach Torah to non-Jewish people. שנאמר, לא עשה כן לכל גוי ומשפטים בל ידעום.
If they wanted, מה זה היה second sentence?
You are not allowed to teach them Torah, the non-Jewish. It says in Tehillim, לא עשה כן לכל גוי ומשפטים בל ידעום. He did not give the Torah to the goyim, and the laws of the Torah they do not know.
So
because
how people become a convert while they are studying, become a converts? Converts, they are a goyim and they are studying Torah.
Yes,
right?
but this is a different thing. Because when a person wants to convert his religion and become Jewish, it's not easy. He has, when it's an Orthodox, when you convert it in a way of Orthodox, they come and they tell them to go back home. They come again, they tell them to go back home, just like it's written in Megillat Ruth. We learned that from Megillat Ruth. So it's not easy to become a Ger Tzedek. It's not easy at all. And then they have to study the laws. And the woman and also a man, they have to be Orthodox. Otherwise, they are not Jewish. You understand? If a woman converts to Judaism, and then she becomes Jewish, if she's married, she does not cover her head, she's not Orthodox, she's not Jewish. You understand? So it's not easy to convert. It's not only, we are always prosecuted all the time, so she becomes one of the nations.
How is common in different congregations, I don't want to say Lashon Hara Chas v'Shalom, in different places, in not religious areas, converting kalot or chatanim, and out of the way, she's converted.
I told you,
and their babies are having circumcision, everything.
This is not kosher conversion. And חד משמעית, it has to be Orthodox converting, an Orthodox rabbi convert them. There are special courts that do that. It has to be, otherwise they are not Jewish, period. Which means those men that married them, they have non-Jewish children.
And how we can...
There are a lot of guys also that circumcise their children. It doesn't mean that they are Jewish.
And how many kind of Jewish kids are growing up and mixing around?
That's why those are the times of Mashiach, and this is the time to come to a Shul Torah and just to wake up to do the right thing. Yes.
But our Testament is like a fundament of for all society, for all world. Don't kill, don't. I mean, our Ten Commandments, and you can not teach to not to the teach even not to.
But they have Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. They have from Hashem. Also, they're not allowed to kill or steal or gezer. They have the 7 mitzvot of Bnei Noach. Okay? But the Jewish people have 613 mitzvot. Now, you know what? Yesterday I had a question from one of the women. Yes. One of the women asked me, tell me, but if there's a free will, so we can decide either to do the Torah, to go on the ways of the Torah, or not to go. Well, I would like to tell you a news. Listen, dear women, we don't have the freedom of choice either to go in the ways of Torah or not to go in the ways of the Torah. All of us promised Hashem that when our 7 Ishma, we are going to live by the ways of the Torah. We are not doing that. We can choose either to be nice to each other. This is the freedom of choice, or God forbid to steal from someone. This is also the ways of Torah, but not the mitzvot of the Torah. We have to do them. It's not a freedom of choice to do them or not to do them. So God cannot punish me. I won't hurt anyone, but I do not do the mitzvot. No, you must do the mitzvot, because we were all of us in Ma'amad Har Sinai, and we said Na'aseh V'nishma. So this is not a negotiation. But the problem that we do not know it. So we have a problem with it, because we really do not know it. So let's continue, and I would like to tell you something. So what happened? How does this bad decree came over all of those righteous rabbis? So it says that the Caesar, Shilmalel limdu et HaKaisar, they taught Caesar Torah. And he was sitting down and learning Torah. And he came to the place that said, V'gonev ishu mecharo, in the book of Shmot, V'nimtza beyado mot yumat, which means he who stole a person, and the person is found in his hand, he is going to be killed. So look what happened because of that. He called, and because of that, because he read that, he took shoes and he put them on the walls of the palace of his house. He put all shoes all over. And he said, it's very weird. Why did he put shoes all over? And he calls Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel was the president of the Sanhedrin those times. And he calls him and the other Sanhedrin. And he tells them like this. It's written in your Torah, Mi sheganav ish mibnei Yisrael v'alach u'mecharo ma dino. He says, it says, he who stole a person from the children of Israel, what is his judgment? So Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, chayav mitah. He has to be killed. So he tells them, in Ken, you have to be killed. So he says, you have to accept the decree from heaven. And they tell him, why? We did not sell our brother. And he says to them, Bishvil achi Yosef shemachru et Yosef. No, you're going to be killed because of the brothers of Yosef that sold him. So they tell him, they says, כדכתיב הם קראו את יוסף המכרם בכסף צדיק ואביון בעבור נעליים. They sold him for shoes. That's why he put all shoes all over. He wanted to give them a hint that that's what he's talking about. ולכן תח אותו רשע את הבית במנהלים, it's written. And then they said, but we are not his brothers. He says, if his brothers were there, I would have killed them. But because they are not here, you're going to be parallel to those brothers of Yosef, and I'm going to execute you, each one of you. So they said, Rabban Shimon Gamliel said they could not believe their ears. So they said, please give us 3 days. And if this is a decree from heaven, we will accept it. So he gave them 3 days. Meanwhile, they were sitting together, and among them was Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha. And Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha was Kohen Gadol. And I would like to tell you, Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha was a beautiful person, a handsome man. One of the 7 handsome men in the world. And the 7 were Adam HaRishon, the first man, Yaakov Avinu, Yosef HaTzadik, Shaul HaMelech, King Shaul. It says Avshalom, the son of David, was beautiful, one of the 7 beautiful men that were in the world. Abahu, Rabbi Abahu, and then among them was Yishmael ben Elisha. He was beautiful, it says about him. And it says that they sat down and decided that they're going, one of them is going to say Shema Shema Meforash, the name of God, and he's going to see what is going on Machorei Pargod, what goes on in heaven, if it's really a decree from heaven. And it says in the Midrash that Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha told them, if I will say Shema Shema Meforash, you are going to accept the punishment, all of you, because it's a sin to say in vain Shema Shema Meforash, and he doesn't know if he says that in vain or not. So they said, we agree, it will be divided between all of us. So he said Shema Shema Meforash, and his soul went out of his body and went to heaven. And while he was going, before that I will say something. Dear women, why did he have the merit of saying the Shema Meforash? Oh, him and not any other person. It says he had the merit because of his mother. It says that his mother was a tzaddiket. It says that every time, God forbid, she had a baby son, once she gave birth to a baby son, the son, God, Shalom Edam, died. Every baby son that she gave birth died at the birth. Wait, she didn't have any baby sons. So she came to her husband and said, what do I do wrong? What do we do wrong? So he said, what do your friends do? There are other rabbis. They have sons. Why don't we have sons? So he said, maybe we should, maybe we should do more mikveh. Maybe you should pay attention when you go out of the mikveh to the things that you see outside. Maybe because of that. So it says that she went to the mikveh. And once she went to the mikveh, she went out of the mikveh, she saw a pig. So she went back to the mikveh to do a tefillah. Okay. She went back to the mikveh and did another tefillah. She went out, she saw a person with leprosy. She went back to the mikveh and did a tefillah. She went out again, she saw a camel. You know, all those beasts are impure. She went back to the mikveh, and so on, like 80 times she did the mikveh. God sent the angel Gabriel and the angel Metatron. He says, listen, the 2 angels, he said, this is a righteous woman. I want you to go and to walk with her once she goes out of the mikveh. It says the angel Metatron went on one side of her. Escorted her on one side. And the angel Gabriel on the other side. And the angel Gabriel dressed himself. So she saw him. And it says that on that night, God said, I'm going to give her a son, and his name would be Ishmael. And she came pregnant with Ishmael, Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha, which was a Kohen Gadol. So it says because of her righteousness, he had the right, the merit to say Shema Shema Meforash. And he said Shema Shema Meforash and could go out of his body and see what happens in heaven. And then the angel Metatron saw him. And when the angel Metatron saw him, he says, what are you doing here? He says, who are you? He says, I'm Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha. He says, I'm Rabbi. He says, you are Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha? God praises you all the time. He says, how righteous you are. What do you do here? He says, I came here because there's a decree on earth that says that 10 righteous people are going to be slaughtered. And I would like to know if it's a decree from heaven. And the angel Metatron tells him, he starts ki'ilu to cry. He says, oi, he says, it is a decree from heaven. He says that the evil spirit, Yetzer Hara, the snake, came to Hashem and said, you did not punish the children, the 9, it says like the 10 sons that sold Yosef HaTzadik, and they have to be punished. And God told him, listen, if you will punish them, I am going to punish you. And he accepted on himself. He said, anything I accept on myself, I want to punish them. So God gave him a permission because it was time of Esther Panim. I told you, it was time that God is angry with us. He ruined the temple already. So it says that he tells him, he says, tell me. So this is the decree from heaven. He says, yes, that's why it's a decree from heaven. God gave him a permission to Yetzer Hara to kill 10 big rabbis, as 10 big scholars in Torah. So it says in the Midrash that he saw an altar. He said, how come you have an altar over here? The angel Metatron told him, everything you have in the physical world, we have in the spiritual world. So you have an altar, but you don't have oxen, you don't have rams or sheep. So what do you put on the altar? He says, on the altar we put the souls of tzaddikim, of righteous people. This is the altar for righteous people. So he says, you are righteous and you are parallel to the sons of Yaakov Avinu, exactly. You're the same as the children of Yaakov Avinu. And now listen what happened. The Roman soldiers caught Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, which was the president of the Sanhedrin, and they caught also Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha. And it said that when they caught them, they started to cry. They told the executor, the Talian, the one that chops the head off. So they started to cry in front of him. It says, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel said, kill me first, he says. I'm a president of the Sanhedrin and my father was a president of the Sanhedrin. Start with me. I do not want to see Rabban Ishmael die in front of my eyes. So Rabbi Ishmael said, no, kill me first. I'm Kohen Gadol. I'm a high priest, and my father was a high priest. First, kill me. So the executor had fun that time. He felt good with himself. He said, you know what? I'll do a pool. We will throw something like a dice, and we'll decide who will pass away, who will be executed first. So it fell on Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Dear women, he chopped his head. When he chopped his head and the head fell, it was separated from the body, Rabbi Ishmael fell on his knees, picked up the head with blood all over it, and put the eyes of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in front of his eyes, and put his nose on his nose, and put his mouth on his mouth. And he was shouting, and he said, God, this is the mouth that spoke with the Holy Spirit about you, God. This is the mouth who studied Torah all the time, God. Those are the eyes that had to shine them all the time, that did not look at something that is impure. He said, God, how can this happen? He was shouting so loud, so the daughter of this Caesar heard the noise. She was looking through the window and she saw Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha. She saw that he was so beautiful, she wanted him. She said to the executor, don't kill him yet. I want to speak with my father. She went to her father, and her father said, if you're going to speak with me about Rabbi Ishmael and his friends, there's nothing to speak about. I won't listen to you. And she said to him, Father, I want him. He says, you cannot have him. So she said, can I have the skin of his face? And her father said yes. So he said told the executor to take off the skin of his face. And the Midrash says that once they took the skin from the mouth and the nose and the eyes, when they came over here, no sound was heard. But when they came to the place where the tefillin used to be, Rabbi Ishmael started to shout. He started to shout so loudly, the executor was saying, why are you shouting? When I took the first part of your face, you did not shout. And he put also oil. When he started to take off his skin from his face, he put oil, shemen afarsamon it's called, in order that the skin won't be ruined. And it says, he says, because over here on my forehead is the name of God, the tefillin with the name of God, leman yiru kol amei haaretz ve'irau mimeka. So he says, this is the name of God. So the executor says, what does it help you now? Does this God help you? And he was shouting so hard that it says that even the throne of God was shaking. The throne, Kisei Kavod, was shaking. And God thought, it says that the angels came to God and told him, God, how can you do that? Look at how he shouts. Look at the suffering God. You should help him. And he said, leave him alone, because he saves God. In this way, he saves the children of Israel. And it says that God said, if you will continue to shout, he's going to ruin the world. So he sent the Malach Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, to speak with Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha. And he went to Rabbi Ishmael and he says to Rabbi Ishmael, listen, if you'll shout another shout, God is going to ruin the world. He says, but if you won't shout, listen, you will see that the third temple, Bezrat Hashem, will be, and you'll wake up at Chiyat HaMetim, and God will give back the land of Israel to the children of Israel. And then it says that Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha was silent and did not say anything, and his soul went out of his body. And it says that in Rome, every 70 years, they used to take a person that was limping, and above him they put a whole person, and they used to put the skin of Rabbi Ishmael ben Elisha over that person, and they used to תודה. ברוך אתה מלך העולם. And they used to put the garment of the first man on him and to take him through the streets and to show that it's like Esav is winning now. And they used to show that the Yaakov Avinu that took the blessings from Esav did not win, nothing happened to him. But instead of that, Esav, which is Galut Edom, which is this exile, is winning now. But always a bat kol used to go out and say, from heaven, a voice from used to say, Oy lahem ksheyakum zeh, which means, you know why he was limping. Because you remember that Yaakov Avinu fought with an angel of Esav. So and he made him limp. So because of that, they used to put a chiger and then a full person on him to show that the chiger is Yaakov Avinu. And it says always, it was used to say chiger, a person that limps. So it says that a voice from heaven used to say, Oy lolot, oy lahem, to this galut, this exile of Edom, when Bezrat Hashem, God is going to save the children of Israel, and Yaakov Avinu and the children of Yaakov are going to raise up. Bezrat Hashem, b'mera b'yameinu amen. And I would like to tell you, dear women, it says that then they still, they did not kill each one of them one after another, but some of them together, and then there was a period of time like 13 years, and then Rabbi Akiva. It says that they did not allow the rabbis to teach Torah. And Rabbi Akiva used to teach Torah, with an assembly. He did not do that privately in a home, but in an assembly. So it says that when he taught the Torah, people came to him and he said, tell me, why do you do that? You know the decree from the Romans. They said that he who teaches Torah, they're going to kill. So he says, I thought you are wise, Pipos ben Yehuda, I thought you are wise, but I can see that you do not understand the meaning of teaching the Torah. So he gave him a parable, mashal, and he told him, there was once a fox, and the fox was looking at the edge of a river, and he saw the fishes run from one side, swim from one side to the other. From one side, it seems like they were running from something. And he asked them, tell me, why do you run from one place to another? They said, we're afraid from the nets of human beings, so they won't catch us and take us as a food. So he said, you know what? Maybe you should join me. Maybe you should leave the water and come and live with me on earth. So they said, we thought that you're very smart, they told the fox. We thought that you're very smart. In a place that this is our living, we can breathe over there. We're afraid to live. So in a place that it's not our regular a place of living, we can live. Of course we will die over there. So they said, so he told him, it's the same thing about the Torah. The Torah gives us life. Torat Chaim, he says. So I need to teach the Torah in order to make the soul of the children of Israel alive. And it says that the Romans caught him, and he was in jail. And after they took him out of jail, they wanted to execute him. And you know how they executed him? They executed him by combing. By combing his flesh with a comb. They come with an iron comb. They took his flesh little by little, and this is the way he passed away. And it says that his students were asking him, Rabbi, Ad Kama, they said. It was the time of Kriyat Shema. And he started to say Kriyat Shema, and they said to him, Ad Kama, you can suffer, you should leave that. You should let your soul go out. And he said, no, I always thought of the word Bechol Nafshecha, V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha Bechol Levavcha Bechol Nafshecha. and I always wanted to keep it. Bechol nafshecha, now I have the opportunity. It means when He takes your soul, you should love Him. And now He's taking my soul in such a suffering. He's taking my soul, and I have the opportunity. I have the opportunity to fulfill it. So He said, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And in the word Echad, His soul was taken out. In the word Echad, I would like to tell you, I know it's late, I will give you another rabbi, Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon. It says about him, he used to teach Torah. I told him that he is the father of Uriah, and his son-in-law, I will finish with him, Bli Neder. His son-in-law was Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. I would like to tell you, do you know one of the reasons that the second temple was ruined? Because of the story of Kamsa Bar Kamsa. I would like to give you the story, and you'll understand from what place does Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes come. Barno, it's very important that you will listen to this. It says that in Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, there were two people. One was called Kamsa and one was called Bar Kamsa. And it says that once one of the rich people made a feast in Jerusalem, and he disliked Bar Kamsa. He was his enemy, but he loved Kamsa. So he sent a messenger in order to invite Kamsa to his feast and to his party. And the messenger got mixed up, and he gave the invitation to Bar Kamsa. He gave the invitation to Bar Kamsa, and Bar Kamsa came to the party. Once the person that invited everybody saw him, he came forward towards him, and he said, "What are you doing here? You're my enemy. You are my sworn enemy. I want you to go home." He says, "Please don't embarrass me. I will pay for my food and drink. Don't embarrass me." He said, "No, I do not want your money. I want you to go away." He said, "Please, I will pay you half of the feast over here." He said, "I do not want anything to do with you, and neither your money." So he said, "I will pay for you all of the feast." And he said, I don't want to have anything from you." He took him by his hand in front of everyone, and he took him out of the party. It says that Bar Kamsa looked at all of the sages, the scholars over there. He said they did not say anything. It means that they agreed with him. So he decided to revenge. He went to Caesar and he said, "You'll see, if you want to sacrifice a sacrifice in Bet HaMikdash," he says, "you will see that the Sanhedrin want that the Kohen Gadol will not sacrifice the sacrifice." So you know that a goy can sacrifice in Bet HaMikdash, in the temple. He can bring sacrifice. So he gave him Caesar gave him a sheep, and he took it Bar Kamsa. And on the way he made a small sign. Some say it was on the lip, and some say on the eye, that you cannot see, but it's a mum, it's a defect. And you know they cannot sacrifice any animal that has defect on it. So he came, and they already knew when they saw it that he did it. It's not the king. He did it. So they said, "But we have to sacrifice it, otherwise the king is going to punish us." But then came a rabbi and said, "But if you will sacrifice, everybody is going to say that even a sheep that has a defect you can sacrifice. So everybody is going to bring animals that have a defect on them, a default." So he says, "You cannot do that." So they said, "We have to kill Bar Kamsa, because he's going to go back to the king, and he will tell him that, and the king then is going to kill us." So he said, "But then everybody will say that if a person did a defect or a default or on an animal, he must be killed. It's like a law." So he said, "You cannot do that. Everybody will think it's a law." So they said, because of that modesty of that rabbi, they said, because of his modesty, our temple was ruined, because he went back and they did not sacrifice it. Our temple was ruined, the city of Jerusalem was ruined, and our people were sent to exile. And I would like to tell you that when he went Bar Kamsa back to Caesar, to the king, and told him what happened, he called Neron. Neron was a very high general, a Roman general. And he says that he came to the city of Jerusalem with a lot of soldiers. And he decided, he was very spiritual. He wanted to know if he's going to conquer the city. A lot of people tried before and they did not conquer. So he was great with the bow and arrow. And he threw the arrow. He threw it first to the east side. So when he threw it to the east, the arrow went inside the city of Jerusalem. When he threw it to the west, the arrow again changed its course inside the city of Jerusalem. When he threw it to the south, again the same thing happened, and north, at the same, everywhere he threw it, it went into the city of Jerusalem. But still he wasn't certain with himself. He had a feeling that something is wrong. So he saw children coming out of a cheder, like a yeshiva that they studied, Jewish children. So he caught one of them and he said, his name was Yechiel, and he told him, what did you study today? So he told him like this. He said, we studied in the book of Yechezkel, the prophet Yechezkel, "Venatati et nikmati be'edom beyad ami Yisrael." I will avenge everything that this exile, the exile of Edom, I will avenge it with the hands of the children of Israel. So Neron said to himself, it means that God is going to let me conquer the city, but then He's going to have revenge on me. He will cause me to die. He said, no, I won't let that happen. So at that night, he ran away from the camp. He was a general. He ran away from the camp. It says he went to a place that nobody knew him. He converted to Judaism. And one of his descendants was Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. Wow. He's one of the forefathers of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. Look what a precious soul went out of him. He had a precious soul in him. So it was Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, and it says that Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon, which was the father-in-law of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, it says that he taught Torah to everybody. One day he said that Shema Meforash, the name of God, in front of people in order to teach them, and it was not allowed. His wife was there, and she did not tell him not to do that. She did not prevent him from saying that. And then it says that because of that, when they caught Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon, when they caught him, Rabbi Hanina, they said that he's going to be killed, executed, his wife is going to be executed, and also his daughter, one of his daughters. And you will ask, not executed, but one of his daughters is going to be in the market of the whores. They are going to put her as a whore. And you will ask me, why such a punishment to his daughter? It says, the Midrash says that his daughter once was walking in the street, and there were Roman soldiers that were looking at her, and they said, wow, what a beautiful walk this woman has. And she heard them, and she walked like a bride. She started to walk nicer than she walked before. So because she's that a daughter of Israel should have tzniut, modesty, God punished her by sending her to the market of whores. It says in the Midrash, listen very carefully, it says that they took Rabbi Hanina ben Tardayon. They covered him with a book of Torah, with the scrolls of a Torah, real scrolls of Torah. And then they took cotton wool and put it in water, and they put it around his heart. They did not want to burn him, and they wanted to burn him, but they did not want him to die quickly. So they put a cotton wool with water around his heart, so his heart will still continue to work, but he will feel himself burning. Do you understand? But the heart will still work, so he won't die quickly. So his daughter started to cry. She says, Father, maybe you should open your mouth and let the fire go inside. He said, how can I do that? Only the one that created me can take my soul. I am not allowed to do that. And she says, Father, how did you come to such a situation? He said, look, everyone that is going to avenge the Elbona shel Torah. Everyone that is going to avenge. I wrote the word. Wait, I'll tell you. I wrote it.
Humiliate?
Yes, the humiliation. The humiliation of the Torah will avenge also my humiliation, because I'm covered with the scrolls of Torah, it says. So he says, and then his students were asking, Rabbi, what do you see? So he says, I can see the scroll burning, but I can see the letters flying in the air. I can see the letters going out of the scroll and flying in the air, he says. Then the executor came to him. And the executor told him, listen very carefully. He said, tell me, Rabbi Hanina, if I will take the cotton wool from you and I will put more fire around you, will you take me to paradise with you? And he was he was going. He was a Roman executor. He says, do you mean it? He says, yes, I do. Swear to me that you will take me with you to heaven, to paradise, the Gan Eden. So Rabbi Hanina said, I will. And he took out the cotton, and he put more fire, and he threw himself to the fire with Rabbi Hanina. A voice came from heaven, from the sky, and said, the Rabbi Hanina and the executor are going to paradise. Oh, no. Look, and then it says, everybody says that there's a person that buys his place in paradise in 1 hour, and there's a person that buys his place in paradise in 70 years. So dear women, I would like to tell in these words, these are the times of mourning. We have to remember the temple, and we have to ask for Mashiach, that God will bring us Mashiach, and Eliyahu and Navi Zechorot will be here, and that Bezrat Hashem, the third temple will be already here. Just will come from heaven, and we all of us are going to go back to the land of Israel. I would like to tell you, dear women, I would like to bless you. לעולם ייפרד אדם מחברו בדבר הלכה יחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים. בלי נדר בעזרת השם, I will see you in 2 weeks.